So I was not having the same experience as everybody else with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Everyone felt moved by it, but for me, it was obviously another layer of it because I knew him, and that's why I had to go away for a couple of weeks to Wyoming to just kind of like just feel okay, breathe some air, and hike some mountains. But when I came back, I was kind of surprised by how the internet was really angry about the memorial. Right? They were like, "This is fake," and da da da. And actually, I went back and I realized I kind of recognized what it was. Is there was an element to that felt like political pageantry. You know what I mean? Like, why is Susie Wiles at Charlie? Like, she didn't know Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And Christianity is, I think it felt like, and if everyone coming out and Charlie loved the Lord, Charlie loved the Lord. And it's like, do you love the Lord? Like, do you love the Lord when you're saying the story and here's what turning point's going to be? Or is this now becoming a politicized faith, right? And what Christianity is, getting to your last point, is it's brokenness. Like, it's brokenness. It is anger at God at moments. I did not understand why I had to contend with God, and I had to get on the phone with the priest and cry and be angry and feel that sort of like, that wrath of man. We aren't able to figure it out that easily and be like, well, this is what God wanted. And I think that maybe some of that response that people had, it made me realize that was what was missing. It was like, well, no, but where is like we're just human, right? And we are right to feel angry and not understand why this happened and to go through those emotions and to seek that guidance from, as I needed to, from a priest. I still don't understand it fully. I'm still trying to work through why Charlie had to go.
See, what do you, when like I've seen footage of him saying, well, like it's obviously a viral clip where he said like, well, what I do think is that all Jews should come to Jesus, like they should all convert. Like, do you think that he was moving more in the direction of explicitly declaring the supreme power is Christ, and therefore any political movement or leader is temporary, and the kind of reverence and worship that cultish political leaders have always attracted, whether that's Barack Obama or Donald Trump, is not really like they're just administrators. They're just administrators, really.
Yeah, right. And largely, and as I've been getting to with this Calvary Church, and they were kind of what stepped in. And somebody said to me at the White House was like, how when did Turning Point become this faith organization? Like when you and Charlie were going through, you were talking about free markets and capitalism, and all we saw were these pastors coming out saying, and I'm like, it wasn't. It actually wasn't. Like, this was actually an infiltration. And when you start looking into these pastors and how scandalized they are, you go, okay, well, the obvious thing to hijack if you're the government and you are at war with faith, you need to politicize faith. You need to get in there. You need to have people. And I look at these sermons and so many pastors are getting up and they're talking about Tucker Carlson. I'm like, what goes on at these? Like, if my priest got up and started speaking about Tucker Carlson, I would leave. I can go home and watch Fox News. Like, I can go home and watch CNN. I don't need to drive to a cathedral to listen about your opinions on Trump. And that's kind of the onion that we've been peeling back, is like, when did this kind of hijacked faith thing start to happen in America where it became so political, when pastors were vying for political power? I mean, it's not to say that there is this separation between church and state. I actually don't think there is, right? I actually think that what is the story of Christ? Like, it was the most politicized event, right? That was the whole point, is politics, and there was constantly kind of this clash. But what we're seeing now is definitely cultish. It is not faithful at all, and I hope that the consequence will be that it will pull people into the Orthodox and Catholic direction.
When I was I did a couple of Turning Points events, and I'm scheduled to do one in a couple of weeks. And obviously I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if, like, if we put out this content and this content does well, am I going to get a phone call, because this world seems like it fragments and fractures almost endlessly and infinitely now. And what my feeling is like the figure of Christ, while he was not the militaristic lineage of David, Messiah anticipated by the Pharisaic class, plainly it says in Old Testament scripture, government on his shoulders. And when you say, give to Caesar what is Caesar, have the material, have that stuff. But the real kingdom, the kingdom that you have access to, that is the supreme kingdom. And as soon as you make that claim, I think what flows out of that is personal sovereignty under God, community sovereignty under God, family sovereignty under God. Why should we have centralized systems of control and power that don't like us, that lie to us, that blackmail and manipulate us, and even the leaders that they claim are authentic are actually compromised individuals with compromised goals, and maybe even diabolical and demonic goals, to the earlier part of our conversation. And so with Turning Point, what I wonder in all earnestness is that something seismic happened that's extraordinary, and it would be difficult in the light of history and in the light of events since the death of Charlie to suggest, what it was is some nutty kid who was trans just went, do you know what? Like, one of the things I saw is, in addition to your content, I just saw some kind of military vet breaking down and putting together one of those guns and putting it, and he goes, there's no way.
Yeah, it's just it's the common sense element too. It's so offensive.
Yeah. And then when you find yourself and you think, oh my God, am I once again believing that, me, no, because the reason I've not been vaccinated is because by the time that pandemic came around I was, oh yeah, that's the government, don't trust them.
Right, exactly.
Right? So the first thing you're told, dismiss that out of hand as total bullshit. So what I'm trying, because I suppose, of my own attachments, my own fears probably, I'm like, well, maybe, because also, by the way, sometimes, Candace, but this doesn't stop it being possible. Sometimes the claim is so big that it's like, oh, fuck, if that, with the example, because I suppose the reason I keep referring to it is because I know more about it, and it was probably the pivotal moment in my own sense of, oh, wow, I'm in the middle, I'm being attacked, is COVID. That. You can't ever have the reckoning for the pandemic period that's warranted, because if you did, you'd have to say, they were lying to us about those vaccines. They were lying about the lockdowns. They were lying about the masks. They were involved in the creation of the actual disease in its first place. If that's even the truest version of it, there might be even worse versions of it than that. The person that you put at the center of it, Tony Fauci, is involved in its construction. Right. It's so bad that it's like, if you would go, right, okay, well, let's work it out then. It's the same as any of the big ones, 9/11, JFK, whatever.
That's the point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. The people that are orchestrating the thing are then telling you that you need to run to them for the solution to the thing that happened. Wow. And I just cannot get on board with TPUSA faith. I can't do it.
And I suppose that the thing is with any of the other examples, aside from Charlie Kirk at the moment, is that if you were to give it the attention that it deserved and the justice warranted, say with JFK, murder, COVID and what happened, you'd have to dismantle all these institutions.
There'd be a revolution, literally a revolution against all of the elites. And that's why they can't address that thing. That is why we are not getting answers, a straight answer from the West. I just said the French Foreign Legion was on the ground on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They refused to answer that question.
Were they? Like when you started talking about the planes and that, and the Egypt airplanes,
that was what gave me the clue, because I'm tuned into the fact that Twitter is owned by the military. Like they're military bots, literally. So the overreaction to me mentioning the planes made me look into them further. I was like, oh, Egyptian plane was on the ground that day, and it was the most they did a fake debunking. They were like, because I got the time zone wrong, I was off by 2 hours or something, and they were like, this has been debunked, she's an idiot. But they boosted this account that had 1 follower to make it a trend, and I was like, okay, that's a government response to these Egyptian planes. I need to look more into it. And where it's led to me now, I'm like, my goodness. And someone just announced today that the Saudi prince was on one of those planes 3 years ago. So this is a very powerful person that was on this plane.
From flight logs, they can go, that plane's legit. Look, this plane is that. These things are all trackable. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I suppose there are, now whether or not a cultist energy is its core, there is human agency continually. So there always will be error. And the problem of a sort of dislocated from centralized systems communicator like you is that if you actually, because I've never done that, I've never done what you do, I've never gone, I want to fucking well look at the flight logs, I
love that stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing, because then you're actually doing legit journalism and research. But
also the broader spiritual point is what I love too.
Tell me.
AI is just a robot, but who this is human. Yeah, the human wins, right? And that's the point. When they plan these things, it's too robotic. It gets to the point where I say about like everyone on stage and like say, oh, I'm a pastor, blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is like chat GBT Christianity, actually. This is not real Christianity. Real Christianity, you're like human. You got to contend. You got to do these things. And when I listen to Charlie's pastors or however many he's at, and I'm speaking, I'm like, this is like chat GPT. This is not real Christianity. We're broken. We are so broken.
But don't you think sometimes like real Christianity is like terrifying?
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying.
It is.
But now to your point, it could be specifically as a Roman Catholic. When I was last in Rome, I looked at these Caravaggios, and I think it's called the Cathedral Light. You know, all them churches have got amazing paint. And then I looked into it, and like Caravaggio was, you know, he was like, that's where he was, his patronage, he was commissioned to do that art. It's not like they bought it later. Like, you know, they went, Caravaggio, can you do St. Matthew being anointed and appointed? Can you do him writing the gospel? And can you do his flaying? And like, that's the trip. It's not a triptych, it's 3 separate paintings, but they're displayed there. When you see the one of St. Matthew being anointed, like, you know, it's just like he's among the other tax collectors and there's a sort of the finger of the Lord, and he's like, oh, no, not, you mean him, don't you? And like then the next one's him writing the gospel, and then the next one's him having all his skin cut off, and you're like, oh shit, no wonder in the first picture he's like, yeah, I might not get involved in this actually.
Right.
But I was like 10 minutes, Candace, from the Vatican, and then I go to the Vatican, as I, you know, like I love the Vatican, I love the place, and I love Catholicism, I love the Mother, I love the saints, I love the Rosary, I love it. Like, but this is the thought that came, and I've not had a chance to put this in front of someone like you before, is like, if that thing, the Vatican, was connected to what that dude was feeling, like St. Matthew there, this would be like a terrorist organization. This would be like, right, we're going out. Like, because if you're a Christian, you are against society. You're opposed. You know that the devil runs it and you're in a war with them. So if you go there and you're buying trinkets and bracelets, as I did, and, you know, a lovely crucifix and stuff, you know, this thing, you know, and I respect, obviously, and honor your faith and the particularities of your faith. But I suppose, you know, in the same way that you would say that some pastors in little churches are cheesy, and I agree. And in the UK, it's very dry, Anglicanism. But there's beauty and mystery, and I've met some amazing British Christians, obviously, and like, you know, among them, your Father Julian there. Although I've just texted you that dude. Father, excuse me, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I suppose because the Catholic Church has been so wedded to and has moved so much through power, do you feel that the same level of inquiry that you're...
Well, I just spoke to you about, I mean, I said the Frankists came into the church. I mean, do I think that priests are above sinning, that there aren't dirty priests and things that constantly I'm in inquiry, you know? And if to be a human means that you are flawed. And so I'm still very much a student in Catholicism. This is why I don't use my platform to pretend that I'm which I really don't like when all of these people are making Christianity their brand. Like, what authority do you have to tell people if you're a student, you're a student, you know? And you can be a student out loud, but I choose not to because there's so much more that I have to learn. And when I seek answers to questions that I come about, I go to my husband, and there are some times where he says, I don't know what the answer to that is. You need to consult a priest, right? There will be some, like, you know, IVF thing. Like, I had a friend who, I mean, she had like 8 miscarriages, and then she turned to IVF, and we've been friends with her forever. And genuinely, I am against IVF. I know why it's demonic. I know why it's wrong, but genuinely, I was happy for her. You know what I mean? How do you contend with that? Like, how do I, like, and I felt that happiness, and I texted her, I said, I'm so happy for you. And I meant that, right? But like, I shouldn't be happy. I'm not happy that IVF exists, actually. And that's a very weird spiritual. So I'm like I'm inquiring. I don't know the answers, but I know they don't have the answers.
What about same-sex people? Like, you know, like same,
no,
like
never not okay.
But what if they love each other and they're just living with each other and it's not about sex?
Be best friends.
Yeah, but what?
We can be besties.
But what about all right, fair enough. But what about? I'm thinking that went from my first go round the Bible. That what it's, you know, of course there are clear, explicit decrees of same sex, but it seems also that what it's really saying is don't fuck around just for pleasure. So, which I lived in that. I lived in fucking around for pleasure. Because it's self worship. It's self worship. I just wonder, because I've met good Christian gay people.
My creative director is like, he's brilliant. He's fascinating to speak to you about the topic, because he believes, he's like, first off, he says, he believes that like 93% of gay people are not born gay. He's like, it's obviously cultural. They're doing it because it's fun. They're like, it's like 60s culture. They're on drugs, whatever. And he's like, I was not born gay. I have daddy issues. I grew, like, my father wasn't in my life and it manifested as like this. So that's why the Catholic Church you're not gay as a permanent state. Milo and I had a conversation about this recently. He's like, it's not, something happened to him. This is a reaction to what happened to him in his youth. And that's why the Catholic Church teaching is they call it same-sex attraction. To think of it as like being an alcoholic, you weren't born an alcoholic, but you're an alcoholic. You're addicted to this same-sex attraction or whatever it is. And not to think of this as like a mainstay, like you're just born this way. They did that intentionally. And, but he says for the people, the very minor people, he was like, whether nothing happened to them, he's like, nothing, like truly from the time that they were young, they had same-sex attraction. He believes that those people were born with like equipped with an ability to like give more to like the creativity and church. So he's like purchased some really old like Italian monastery, and like he pours his like life into art and creativity. It's like it's kind of talking to him about same-sex attraction is fascinating.
Yeah, because why should the summit of your identity and your purpose be that? I mean, I do remember as a heterosexual, promiscuous person, there were times where I was like slept with people and I was like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, just because you sort of can, like, sort of like, so like, it's not like there were people that I could have just been friends with. I could have just been friends with them. And like, but just because that was what I was doing. And other times.
Doing this thing,
there's that thing I do.
Right.
But you can't, and it's, of course it's in the body, But if you've got, I suppose, keep it in its proper place. I guess I hear what you're saying. And just like, I think in a way it all comes down to false idolatry, and false idolatry begins in self. Mm-hmm. And I suppose the Christian thing for me, I'm working this out genuinely, it's not a question. It's an inquiry, live inquiry, is like that if my position is non-judgment, like, because, like in the same way, vengeance is mine, vengeance belongs to the Lord, judgment belongs to the Lord. Like, then I can be like with you and your friend with the IVF, even though I know spiritually and scripturally and in the absolute truth, this is sinful. Mm-hmm. I'm not an agent of that until people go to me, well, what does it say in there and how should I deal with it? And we're all giving out, like, quite plainly what God wants for you. Like, as they say, God's will is what's fucking happening. What God's will is for you is get out and tell the truth and be willing to get in those places. But the only thing I would, because I'm here, because I'm the one that's in this chair, is I'd say, be careful with the pace, Candace. Be careful with the pace, and be careful of letting it accumulate. Be careful of letting it accumulate, because there is going to be there's going to be a coming together. There has to be a coming together for his church. There has to be a coming together. And I'm not telling you anything. You're doing great without me. You don't need, like, because when people tell me stuff, I'm like, well, guess what? Guess who's the one that's God put here? Me. And he put you there. So, but I'm just saying.
My perspective. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
It's like, I want you to be careful about making enemies.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's hard. And it's hard because it's like when you commit yourself to truth, of course you have enemies. Christianity is controversial. It is. Yeah. True Christianity is controversial, right? And so it's hard because I don't know how to, and this is the thing I almost say it's like I was born with this disorder, honestly. I was born this way. I don't know how to not say the truth. It's like it's like always been chronic for me. I'm like to adults. I just say the thing and I don't understand this planet because I'm like, why is this not fine? Like, why can't we just say the truth? Because it creates serious enemies. That's the reality. Truth, Christ is truth is dealt with in this way. It is a lot. Yeah.
We have to bring love and forgiveness to it. You have to identify where the deficiency is. See, then, like, born this way, you and your capacity, ability, tendency, and almost pathology to tell the truth, although that's a psychiatric word. But gay people's sexuality, you're saying to them, they'll go, oh, I'm born this way. And some people will say, well, it's because of this event or this trauma or this or that. But many gay people would say, this is just how I am. It's just how I am. And so I suppose the only way for us to navigate this space is to ensure. I watched Ben Shapiro one time, right, with like, it was in one of them things where it looked like a congressional hearing, you know, like when you still see that. And he was going, well, he goes, is it true that you have said that homosexuality is wrong? And he sort of went, what, I, as an Orthodox Jew, believe that homosexuality, yeah, I do. It's my religion. And I was sort of like, the first time I sort of went bad, was that? I was like, wow, I really like that I'm a religious person now, because now, like when I'm raising my 2 daughters, and maybe more by your grace, Lord, and my son, that what I'll be saying to them is, yeah, we're Christian and we don't have sex unless you're married to the person. That's what we do. So we see these people that are coming around for a date, you make sure they fucking understand. Like, I'm glad that I've got that. Yeah. I'm glad that that's how I'm raising my family. I'm not in charge. It's in the book, man. What can I tell you?
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. Well, we've got enemies, and sometimes you make enemies. I'm like, it's crazy because you don't know where they're coming from. It's like when I just did this whole, like I was telling you, when I did the whole like tribute to Charlie, and just casually said, like, you know,
saying the rosary,
and then the next thing I know, I've got 37,000 people making videos. I'm like, what about that was controversial?
Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Rumble.